understanding IDFA and its impact on mobile gaming advertising, all right? So Apple's new requirements related to mobile advertising will impact game businesses that advertise their mobile apps, as well as those that monetize by showing ads in their apps. Well, join Facebook Gaming as they discuss the implications of Apple's IDFA change and the key strategies for mitigation, all right? So this panel is originally in English, so if you want to listen it in Portuguese, just please access the link here at the channel, right? So let's welcome Jason Wang, Product Marketing Manager at Global Gaming at Facebook, Nathan Finger, CFO at Fanati, and Lorelei Carvalho, Business Development Lead at Facebook. How are you guys?
Hello, guys.
Ciao.
Hello.
Doing wonderful.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us. So please make yourself comfortable because the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, big audience. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Thanks for joining our panel today. As Barbara said, I'm part of the Facebook sales team. Today, I will be moderating this session, a very important one, and I have two superstars here with me that will be sharing the stage. I will let them introduce themselves, and we can then go back to Jason that will be sharing a presentation for us to start. Go ahead, Jason.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all. So first, I got to say that I'm very much a huge console and also mobile gamer. And at Facebook, I'm really lucky in being able to support gaming marketers on all platforms to help them understand how they can better use our products and develop new products to help them to grow. So most recently, I've also led the launch of automated app ads, which if you're a mobile app marketer, hopefully this should be top of mind for you. And I'm currently leading the strategy and planning for Facebook's app marketing response to iOS 14. So excited to share some information. Natan, you want to go first? Next.
Hi, Nathan. Joined Fanati 2 years ago as a CFO, and then I now oversee also monetization and user acquisition. Previous life in financial markets, having much more fun now. And hopefully we will have fun today. And now talking about IDFA, for sure it's not the most sexy subject in the big, but
very sexy.
we'll do our best.
Thank you, guys. So let's get the ball rolling, Jason.
Yeah, so let me share a screen here. So I typically hate presenting slides, so we'll try to keep this short, but we do want to kind of go through some of the nitty-gritty details around the changes coming up. So first off, kind of in June of last year, 2020, Apple announced that there were going to be 3 main requirements now impacting digital marketing on iOS platforms going forward. It started actually rolling out last October, where developers are now required to outline in their apps all the data collection practices on the App Store page. And this includes things like third-party advertising, analytics, SDKs, aspects like that. And then since then, starting with iOS 14.5, now with that release, developers must now ask a user for permission when they're tracking them across third-party apps or website. So if a customer does not opt in, Apple will limit that app's usage of ad tracking information. But it's not just IDFA, it's really all mechanisms, including email. And that will, unfortunately, impact their ability to market effectively, advertise, as well as monetize on the iOS system. And the last area of change is really around advertisers needing to ensure that their media partners are integrated with Apple's new SK ad network, or also known as SCAN API. And this means that advertisers will need to do this and ensure that their ad networks are using this, because that's the primary way that they will be used to measure installs and in-app events. So for people who are on iOS 14.5. And that launched in 2018, but we're really only seeing major adoption and usage now. So stepping back really quickly, like what is IDFA? So it is kind of this unique identifier that is present for each iOS device. And until now, it was meant as a way for advertisers to match users. So you see a person, you don't know who they are, you don't have their email, but you can use IDFA to kind of track them and monitor them and better understand their behavior, including how they're enjoying your game so you can make it better, or who it makes sense to market towards. So with the change that's happening right now, what we see is that when the connection for IDFA is severed, Apple, because of the new permission policies, businesses, all apps, not just gaming apps, but very much impacting gaming apps, are going to see a huge decrease in match rates in knowing who is actually playing their ads. And then also it's going to impact their ability to target, optimize, and really measure across platforms to know if they're marketing effectively or not. So, but luckily, Facebook has really done a lot of extensive preparation to help app marketers minimize the disruption. So I would say we very much recommend everyone check out fb.gg at iOS 14 for a lot more resources beyond what we're going to talk through today. So turn it back to you.
Thank you, Jason. Well, it's a lot of information to digest and a big shift in how we operate in the advertising industry. Thanks for sharing all this info. So I think the best way to really understand the impact of these changes is to know better how Facebook and the gaming developers are positioning themselves during this period, right? So that's why we have you both here. I know we don't have enough time to talk about all the impact that we are seeing, but let's try to cover some of them so we can help the developers that are watching us. So starting with Jason, what's the Facebook position on this update? And then I would love to hear from Fanati how you guys are pivoting during this period.
Yeah, I love to. I think we see this as really being a very disruptive change that's been rushed through on the mobile gaming industry. And it's not just going to hurt developers and make it harder for them to grow their games, or publishers and helping them market. I also, as a gamer, think this hurts gamers as well, because it will make it harder for them to find, the games that they're most interested in, which a lot of us right now do use, the relevant personalized ads to identify, things that we might want to be playing. And also, I think however, though, I do think for mobile gaming developers, like, we will innovate, and we're going to find a way to continue to grow. Gaming has become more and more important during the past 2 years, I would say. And Facebook is still going to be very much there to support developers of all sizes, kind of get through this current change and grow to be an even more important part of people's lives. But I'd love to hear, turn it over to Nathan to hear how Fanati is pivoting as well.
On our side, I'd say that the gaming industry is so new and so dynamic that we are always learning and thinking about new alternatives to run the business. So this is a big one for sure. But at the same time, I think that the tools that are available in the market are enough for us to surf the wave now. We have over 150 million downloads in our games, so we know our audience, our users, how to make games. So I think that at the end of the day now is just to stay tuned to all SDKs updates, what networks are saying best practice, because the change is coming before the market being adapted to it. So not all networks are integrated to MMPs.
Yeah.
You're not sure about what MMPs will be able to offer. It's not clear. What's really privacy here, because we are not sure about how Apple will deal with that. So there are so many questions, and the event is so recent that's very hard to really have a strong opinion on that. But if the rule is the same for everybody, we are okay with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Nathan. Sorry, Jason. I would just reinforce here that with all these uncertainties coming from third parties that we are connected to, the importance of having this conversation going and always being connected to these companies to try to figure out what's next, what they will be implementing, and what fits to your business, I think is one of the most important things to do right now, right?
Yeah. I guess I'll add on, I love your point around kind of the partnership with mobile, different SDK updates with your mobile measurement partners, for example. But I also think that there's probably a lot of work that needs to happen on the game side as well. From a lot of the developers I've spoken with, I know some of them are starting to think about things like game design. how can they change game design to really operate effectively within that marketing system, or monetization, like how do they think about moving towards IAP or towards ads, depending on where they are now, and definitely like UA strategies, for example. And I know for Facebook, one of the areas we've been really encouraging is like for advertisers to look into automated app ads, which we launched last year, as it does really help people to adapt to some of the challenges. For example, like you can only now have 9 ad campaigns for your app. And in the current world, I know some developers have hundreds. So it's a huge change in order to shrink down. So using some of these new products that we have in market can help to streamline that process and minimize kind of the impact on your marketing.
I think that you have a good point here. Product will be more important than ever now. I would say that the algorithm recently became so efficient, so strong that user acquisition started playing a major role on the gaming industry. And I think that on iOS, retention is king, organic traffic is king, and this will come only with good products. So it's a challenge because the algos were so efficient that if you are not running an IAP campaign, you will not receive a single user that will buy in your game. There's no free lunch here. And now I think that with iOS, we will be talking about big averages here, and we will have surprise in the campaigns. And if you run the products accordingly, I think that maybe even better. I think that I would say that for some publishers that are really focusing on super purchasers in their apps, maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult. But for us in casual games and even mid to core games, it's an interesting environment here. So product will be key, and as well we'll talk about that creatives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we've been talking a lot, and the whole industry talking a lot the changes on advertising. Like we know the impact, the limitation on the campaigns, the limitation on tracking, all these limitations related to acquiring players are pretty clear. But Nathan, I would love to hear from you. Like it's too early. It was just launched last week, but it would be good for us to understand what's the impact of the business overall, like how other teams are being involved on that. As you said, product, monetization, and finance, probably, I don't know. What's the impact on the overall business for a gaming company now?
Yeah, good point, Lorelai. It's too early. I would say that for now, minor impacts. CPMs of ATT and non-ATT traffic are very close. So we are seeing some 30% of impressions in our ad revenue coming from ATT campaigns. I was expecting over 50% at this point of time. So its rollout is lower than expected. But I would say here that trying to forecast CPMs of ATT traffic should be lower. There's no way with whatever model you use that you have the same targeting used to. So revenues in the business should go a little bit down, depending on your strategies, more or less. And as I consider, this is the CFO speaking, I consider the gaming industry, it's an arbitrage here. You buy users, you sell spots, you sell impressions. So at the end of the day, if the CPMs are coming down, CPIs will just compensate that in any way. The point that the mix of your campaigns will be different, so maybe you'll be able to increase or reduce your margins depending on how you deal with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
Oh, I guess I add in, like, I think you talked a second ago about kind of certain strategies are probably going to be less effective, right? If we don't have as much matching, especially with some of those traditional well users, there are some games out there that are very dependent on these like people who spend a lot of money in their game. And if you can't identify them and market to them, you may not be able to adjust that. So you're going to, I think games that use that strategy are probably going to have to adjust their marketing approaches and monetization as well, so that you're maybe not just focused on, a few users who you're making all your money from, but you're going to have to broaden out and, try to make, less money, but for more users, because you can't just find those whales. And also, like if you're only using in-app ads now, maybe you have to also look into IAP to broaden your monetization. And similarly, if you're only focusing on these whales and purchases from them, maybe you also look into more advertising so that you have a more diversified revenue stream.
I think that both sides will converge here. I think that our business is more ad-based. So I think that we are working for some time already to bring more IAP to the business. It's interesting, but was so hard for us to compete against other very strong IAP purchasers that it was very now you managed to get to these people. So this is good. Part of the balance will come with the change that Apple imposed to us. This is the good part. The other part, again, IAP doesn't come alone, so the product will adapt to it. So our games will be more appealing for IAP, more challenging to IAP. And at the same time, we understand that ad revenues will remain here, but you have to think very, very carefully about how to use it in the future. I think that naturally the business will become more balanced. We are talking a lot about that. And on the ad part of the business, I think that's something that's very important. It's A/B testing everything. Day by day, IAP and ads. I think that gaming industry is the paradise of BI. I always say that because we have good data, we have robust data, very, very robust models, and we don't kill anyone if you commit any mistake. So we can do whatever we want, we can test as much as we want, and we should be doing that more than ever now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All the points that you guys mentioned. We are getting close to the end here, and I would love to hear from you guys, both of you. What should advertisers be doing to succeed in the short and long term? Nathan's mentioned a lot the product interaction with monetization and new way, the creative piece. Is there something that should be gaming advertisers should be doing now, and things that they should think for the future that you guys can give as examples? If yes, please feel free to share, because I think the audience will be super interested in knowing more about it.
I would say that, again, first, you have to be updated with SDKs and best practice, because there are a lot of changes in the networks and integration. So what was working before maybe is not working now. Second, be patient, because not all networks are already integrated. So you're not receiving the information that we will have very soon when the market will stabilize in this new environment that's been created. But more than anything, just keep in touch with everybody here, because I think that the news are flowing around. There are a lot of not so good information, but there are a lot of useful information about consenting, about integration. I saw a lot of ATE noise, Facebook ATE in the market that is a new flag that Facebook started getting. People lost a lot of money with that. But again, if you read the news, the newspapers, whatever you have, talk to the people, there's no mistake to be made, and start simple. The SCAD allows you to build complex models on the postbacks, but I would say that start simple. You don't know how this will evolve, so start simple and develop over something that you can understand, because everything's new here.
Yeah, those are some amazing ideas, and especially your point about agility and being willing to move and learn. I think that's so important right now, because I'll be very honest, from a Facebook perspective, I don't think anyone knows exactly the right answers. And we also don't know how things will change in the future, right? Apple, even now, is releasing new technology. Like they just released SK Ad Network 3.0, and that's allowing new capabilities and may enable new strategies. So that agility point, I think, is really important. But I think, want to highlight, like, working with partners right now, whether it's with your mobile measurement partners or with your Facebook account team, is really important, because they're going to keep you updated on the changes to their technology or to Facebook or audience network SDKs. And it's important to kind of update that and stay abreast of all the changes that are coming along really quickly. So having that discussion and regularly connecting with your representatives across all of the partners you work with is so key right now. And then also I would say in the shorter term is like really doing what everyone is doing here, like coming to events, building, reaching out to your network and learning. And I think this is a point where you mentioned test and learn. Like we should all be test and learning, but I think we all need to share because we're all kind of in the gaming ecosystem together. And as we learn new things, we should be sharing these out broadly so that, we can make sure that gaming stays top of mind as a space and we continue to see like the momentum that the industry itself has built over the past year.
That's really good insights, guys. I love that. To summarize and finish here, I think we have some important takeaways here. Product UA and monetization teams needs to be more connected than ever. Creative production and creative analysis are now even more important than before for gaming companies. There is an opportunity to reveal the game economics and how to find new revenue streams. Don't be so dependent on whales. And I love it, the last point that you guys mentioned, like be connected to the community. Facebook actually has two main communities, two groups that you guys can search on Facebook, the UA community and the audience network community. Really good conversations happen there. Feel free to join. And hopefully we will be talking about it less in the future or more, we don't know. So join the groups and let's stay close. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Big Festival, for giving us this opportunity to stay together to the audience and explaining a little bit about this very important subject.
Laura, if I haven't, okay.
Okay, you can speak. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I won't interrupt you.
I'd love to just add.
You can still speak. That's okay.
No, I just kind of add one more thing is like more of the long-term side is I think we need to be open to thinking about new platforms, right? Within gaming itself. Right now, for the past 5-10 years, it's really been iOS and Android. And increasingly, with these changes in disruption, I think game developers need to be diversifying their perspectives around that. For example, with Facebook, we've been investing more into instant games, which is kind of an HTML5 experience that people can play within in the Facebook app itself. And that allows us to really create kind of some of that social experiences that we think that people love, but also just as importantly, it kind of helps to mitigate a lot of the impacts that we are seeing right now with the implications to ads revenue. If it's all within the Facebook app, then a lot of these changes here should have less of an impact, and it should give more opportunity for gaming developers to grow and to kind of build, in the end, it's about building that dream of the game that everybody loves and enjoys and bring, more fun to gamers across the world.
Good call, Jason. Nathan, we just finished our time here. I know, based on your background, that you are hiring. So you have any final thoughts for the audience?
We are hiring, and the market's growing. This kind of challenge makes us even more excited to bring new people, think outside the box. And my last message here would be, don't panic. I would say that at the end of the day, it's business as usual. It's what we do every day. We learn. What we do is so new that there are no experienced people on that. So let's do it again.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Mobile gaming is not the future, is the present. So understanding these impacts, such as you said, is essential for our developers. So thank you very much once again. Bye-bye.
Big Festival 2021, the biggest games festival in Latin America.